Hello and welcome to Ashland, Ohio for GLIAC basketball here on Sports Time Ohio. As this afternoon, the number one team in the nation, the Ashland University Eagles, play host to the 4-2 Ferris State Bulldogs. And welcome inside Cage Gymnasium, everyone. Noah Clinton alongside my partner, Derek Wood. And Derek, Ferris State comes in with 4 wins, just 2 losses. They've already played 2 teams in the top 25. They have another one on their hands here today on the road. Going to be a tough test for the Bulldogs.
It should certainly be a great afternoon for both of these programs. Ferris State coming off of a win in their most recent contest against Wayne State. The Eagles coming off of a big win over Lake Superior State. So both teams riding winning streaks right now. Should be a great GLIAC clash here inside Cage Gymnasium.
And Derek, that 73-point win against Lake Superior State, the largest margin of victory for Ashland since 2016. The Eagles on the verge of some more history today as well. And for more on that, we welcome you into our sideline reporter, Bree Gannon.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. If the Eagles win today, it would be their 800th win in program history, making them the 15th team in Division II history to do that. And in order for the Eagles to be able to pull off a win today, earlier this week, Coach Pickens said that one thing that her team is really going to have to work on is defending the ball without fouling at half court. The Bulldogs are a team that pulls down a lot of rebounds, so they're also going to have to watch their shots as well.
Very much, Bree. A chance for some more history inside Cage Gymnasium today, as Ashland will also receive their rings from their second place runner-up finish nationally last season. Now, Derek, let's get into this matchup today. Ferris State comes in, as we mentioned, 4-2. They have a very dynamic backcourt between Adriana Anderson and Shania Huggins, but Shania Huggins is off to a terrific start.
Huggins has really been the go-to piece for this Ferris State Bulldog attack, and all season long she's been who they have to rely upon in key situations. And when you look at what she's been able to do all season long, 14.5 points, 2.5 assists a game, above 3 rebounds, so she's an all-around guard, shooting 55% from the three-point line. So she's been able to get the job done offensively and defensively, coming off a performance against Wayne State where she had 10 assists. So she can dish the ball out, she can score, and she can defend as well.
And Derek, the biggest strength for Ferris State so far this season has been their depth. They go at least 15 deep. They're going to need a lot of that depth today, as on the other side of the floor, Ashland's got a lot of depth himself. Hallie Heidemann coming off the bench, playing almost 22 minutes a game in her freshman season, and she's been awesome this season so far.
And you talked about the depth for Ferris State, knowing what that means, but for the Eagles, that depth is just as important. Hallie Heidemann, 22 points, 8 of 8 from the field, 6 of 6 from the three-point line in the Eagles' most recent win over Lake Superior State. So she comes off the bench, you're looking for a little bit of a spark. She was a perfect spark just one game ago.
Hallie Heidemann, 22 points in the last game. That's a new career high for her. She's been terrific all season off the bench. Ashland will look to get her involved early and often again this afternoon. It's the 4-2 Ferris State Bulldogs and the 6-0 Ashland Eagles, and the action is next here on Sports Time Ohio.
Ashland University is changing lives every day. A personalized, transformative education, teaching students how to think, not what to think. We are known for our strong academic reputation, 70 undergraduate degrees, a national leader in graduate and online education, and one of the top Division II athletic programs in the country, one of the most affordable private universities in Ohio. We are Ashland University, where the accent is on the individual.
Today's Ashland University basketball broadcast is brought to you by Ashland University's Journalism and Digital Media Department, making tomorrow's media professionals today. And back on the campus of Ashland University, it's another terrific GLIAC matchup. Now look at today's officials for Ferris State and Ashland. Megan Joseph, Mallory Griffith, and Caleb Maxey, the officiating crew, for this fantastic GLIAC matchup between the number one team in the country, the 6-0 Ashland Eagles, and the 4-2 Ferris State Bulldogs. My name is Noah Clinton alongside Derek Wood. And Derek, let's take a look at the starting lineups for the 4-2 Ferris State Bulldogs, coming off their first conference win of the season, 68-51 over Wayne State on Thursday. Adriana Anderson, Shania Huggins in the backcourt, Brianna Benner, Alexis Bush, and Lily George, the final 3 in the starting 5 for the Ferris State Bulldogs, who are playing their 3rd team in the top 25 in their first 7 games this season. And to the number one team in the country, Renee Stimper, Maddie Decken, Jody Johnson, Sarah Loomis, and Brooke Smith, the starting 5 for the undefeated Eagles, who are looking to go 7-0 for the 3rd straight season. And they have a chance to do so on their home floor in front of their home fans. And they're also going for the program's 800th win all time, so a lot on the line here today, Derek.
Absolutely. When you look at what the Eagles bring into today's contest, they bring in a high-powered, fast offense, scoring 99.3 points a game, shooting above 50% as a team, near 40% from the three-point line, and those numbers just continue to add to what they're able to do all season long against a Ferris State team that's coming off of a victory over Wayne State, 68-51 in their most recent contest, averaging 76 points a game.
Ashland coming off of a 73-point win over Lake Superior State. It was their first game this season, ranked as the #1 team in the country, and it happened to be their largest win since 2016 against Alderson Broadus. And Ashland's offense is hitting on all cylinders to start the season, shooting over 51.5% from the field, scoring nearly 100 points per contest, and they go up against a very young but talented Ferris State Bulldog team today. Derek, what do you want to watch for in this ball game?
When you look at what Ferris State brings into the contest, we keep talking about the numbers, but Shania Huggins, a sophomore, Adrian Anderson, a sophomore. You have sophomores that lead this team. They've got to be the pieces that keep this Ferris State team gelling all afternoon long.
Loomis and Benner in the middle to tip this one off, and the tip is won by Loomis. Ashland in the white and purple jerseys, moving right to left. Ferris State in their road red and yellow jerseys. Ashland again, their starting five: Stimpert, Dakin, Johnson, Loomis, Smith. Dakin's three ball is off the mark. Offensive rebound chance for Loomis, but she goes over the back of Lily George, and that's going to be foul number 1 on Sarah Loomis. The starting five once again for Ferris State: Anderson, Huggins, Benner, Bush, and George. The starting five on the floor for the 4-2 Ferris State Bulldogs.
When you look at Ferris State, they have George down low. She's 6 feet tall, so she does have size to rebound the basketball. Might make things tricky for the 6'2 Loomis.
Preseason All-GLIAC South team, as early on Anderson gets the jumper to fall, and the Bulldogs take an early 2-0 lead. Anderson and Huggins have been a terrific duo in the backcourt for Ferris State. They're going up against a very tough backcourt for Ashland as the Eagles turn it over once again. Huggins one-on-one with Loomis, trying to get it over to Bush, but threw it too tall, and a turnover for the Bulldogs.
I like the pressure early here by Ferris State. That could have been a big bucket, get up 4-0 against the #1 team in the country, because sometimes teams don't hold leads for long, so you're trying to make every opportunity count if you're Ferris State, and Huggins and Anderson have to be those pieces here today for the Bulldogs.
And Derek, Ferris State, although they're young, they're not going to be intimidated by this matchup with Ashland. They made it all the way to the GLIAC semifinals a season ago as Stimpert misses a leaner inside. And the Bulldogs have had a very tough non-conference schedule. Already have taken on Lewis, a team in the top 25, as well as Southern Indiana. They lost both of those games, but that's some big experience on the road.
Absolutely. When you get that kind of experience for a younger squad, it does that much for you. It lets you become a better ball club as a unit, not just 1 or 2 players really shining. And if you're Ferris State today, these possessions right here coming out of baseline inbound situations, you have to make them count.
Especially off of missed Ashland shots, because those are going to come few and far between. Ashland, the second best shooting team in the country entering today. 5 seconds on the shot clock for Lily George. I don't think Ferris State realizes it. They got to go, and the travel is going to be called on Shania Huggins inside. Ferris State took it well down to the final seconds in the shot clock, Derek, and couldn't get anything on the offense going.
It's been 90 seconds since tip-off against Lake Superior State. It was scoreless 90 seconds in. Then the Eagles exploded and ended up winning by 73.
107 points for Ashland in their last game as Johnson spins inside. Her point-blank shot falls off the rim, and the rebound goes to Benner. So not a good start shooting the basketball for Ashland. They're 0 of 3. Huggins, a nice move into the lane. Here's George, top of the key, and she nails it. 5-0 Ferris State.
Very quiet here in the gym. The bench for Ashland quiet, the fans behind them even quieter. This is a terrific start for Ferris State.
And Carrie Pickens forced to use a timeout, and the Bulldogs sprinting off of their own bench. A picture-perfect start for the Bulldogs against the #1 team in the country on the road. Ferris State 5, Ashland 0. 2 minutes, 10 seconds in. Back after this on Sports Time Ohio.
The Ashland one-year international MBA program is different than others because it includes 2 international study tours and an all-inclusive structure.
I like that it's on Saturdays.
And it's only a year, so I figured I could give up my Saturdays for a year.
Having Saturday classes allows students to continue working full-time and earn their MBA in just under a year.
To my knowledge, there's no other program that will give you 2 international tours. I would absolutely recommend Ashland University's MBA program.
Back inside Cage Gymnasium on the campus of Ashland University, 5-0, an early Ferris State lead. Coming off of a conference win against Wayne State on Thursday, and the Bulldogs, all sorts of confidence coming in, led by fourth-year head coach Kendra Faustin, who said one of the big strengths of this team is getting off to good starts and turning it over to the amazing depth that they have. They'll go 12 to 15 deep. So far, so good for the starting 5.
And that's exactly where I was going to go with that too, Noah. They start well. They've done it all year long. They have to continue this performance here today. This could be a big stop if they can maintain pressure here and not let the Eagles score.
The defense by Ferris State has been terrific. Stimpert tries to break the scoreless streak for Ashland. She cannot, and the Eagles start 0 of 4 from the floor. Huggins with pace down the floor, had it knocked away. Dakin comes away with a steal for the Eagles. They're going to push the tempo as well. Brooke Smith on the dribble. Johnson inside, finds an open Stimpert who walks with the basketball. Second turnover for Ashland. They're 0 of 4. And a sluggish start here for the Eagles. They received their runner-up championship rings for their performance last season. Perhaps a slow start because of that.
Sluggish and understatement, Noah. Right now it's been just nothing but Ferris State controlling the pace and able to score. They maybe not have been able to score as much as they'd like to, only up 5-0, but this could be a big possession here. They can get some points here, get up 7-8-0. That's a good place to be nearing that 6-minute mark left in the first.
A kick ball by Jody Johnson as Anderson was looking in the corner for Lily George. And Gary Pickens is going to go to her bench. Maddie Dakin will sit down. Hallie Heidemann coming off a career-high 22-point performance on 8 of 8, shooting 6 of 6 from behind the arc against Lake Superior State. And a turnover from Ferris State will get Ashland on the board. Stimpert on the run out and an easy lay-in, 5-2 Ferris State.
Those are the mental mistakes you can't make against the #1 team in the country. That time George was looking for Huggins, just overthrew her. I think it might have been a miscommunication as where Huggins would be after George inbounds the ball.
Anderson drives the left hand off the back iron, and the rebound falls off to Loomis. Chance for Ashland to now tie or take the lead. Just 1 of 5 shooting the basketball to start. Ashland's won 43 consecutive home games, both regular and postseason. Brooke Smith for the tie, and we're knotted up at 5.
Huggins came out, didn't have any hands high. That time Smith is a shooter that you have to have hands high closing out on her because you have to try to do something to disrupt that shot. If you leave her open and don't get any hands in her face, she's going to knock those down.
Best crowd of the year here for the Eagles at home so far. Got out to a slow start, but they've scored the last 5 to draw back to an even 5-5 score. Inside a travel on Brianne Benner. She'll turn it over, and the Bulldogs have turned it over 5 times here in the first 4 minutes and some change. Something they have to avoid today, Derek.
You can afford missed shots. You can't afford turnovers. In that situation, Ferris State has to correct those mistakes. You can't expect to make every bucket down the floor, but you can expect to not turn the ball over.
Ashland loves to get out and force turnovers. It's something they do exceptionally well. Stimpert stuck under the basket, got rid of it to Johnson, who drives through traffic, lays it up and in, and Ashland has scored 7 straight, and they have their first lead of the afternoon, 7-5.
3 people in the area. That time Johnson, quick work of all 3 defenders, cutting in between them and laying it up off the glass.
Top of the key, Bush for 3, and she nails it. And Ferris State back in front by 1. The Bulldogs not going away easily. And they are not a team that is going to fold. They're used to these big-time situations. Loomis can't get the shot to fall, and she'll be headed to the free throw line after she was fouled inside. And the foul is going to be on Lily George. The junior picks up her first. It's the team's first of the first period as well. 5:03 to go, first quarter. Sarah Loomis with a chance to give the lead back to Ashland.
One of the better things that Ferris State is doing defensively is in those situations, they're able to hold Jody Johnson offensively, make other Eagles get involved. When you let the Division II Player of the Year do whatever she wants, that's going to be a long night. This time they let Loomis get it down low. They foul her, though, force her to the free throw line. Going to have to knock down some shots here.
Lily George is going to sit down. Benner comes back on, the junior from Frankenmuth, Michigan. Also checking in, Renee Sturm, the junior from Williamston, Michigan. Sturm, one of the players off the bench that plays 20 minutes a game. The other is Riley Blair, who plays 27 minutes of contest. We have yet to see Blair check into the ball game yet. Ashland back in front by a point. Huggins created separation and found Anderson. Ferris State comes into today shooting 42% from the field. They've started hot, but a walk inside by Benner and another turnover for Ferris State. That's 6, Derek.
And that's the second with Benner traveling down low. She's been whistled for that twice here so far this afternoon. Got to get the mental mistakes. Got to just move forward. Don't let them hang around in your head. You get the ball down low. The #1 team in the country is guarding you. Just got to move forward.
Ferris State started 3 of 4 shooting as Stimpert gets the leaner to fall. He gives Ashland the largest lead they've had today. It's 3. Ferris State's capitalizing on opportunities they've gotten to shoot the basketball. Unfortunately for them, they've only had 4. Ashland's already taken 8 shots in turnover number 7 on the Bulldogs.
And Benner was the one that found Anderson in the corner and he gets turned over. It's just situations, mental things that the Ferris State Bulldogs have got to get over in this situation. Not many times you encounter a do-or-die moment early on in the ball game, but when you're playing the #1 team in the country, those do-or-die moments come very early, because if you give Ashland the chance, all of a sudden it'll be a 20-point lead.
And Ferris State, on the defensive side of the ball, is 10th in the country in steals. They love to force turnovers, play a similar style to what Ashland did last season. As Sarah Hart gets inside, just checked in, and she scores, had 9 in her season debut against Lake Superior State, as Huggins gets to the rim and scores.
That's exactly what you need to do if you're Shania Huggins. You got to go the length of the floor. You have to take over this ball game at this point, because right now you might be the best player on the floor alongside Anderson, but she's sitting on the bench now. So you have to try to either force the issue, get to the basket, try to draw some fouls, make some buckets for your ball club.
And Coach Fausett for Ferris State said Huggins is one of the most improved players from last year to this year. Huggins started 5 games last year and is now the starting point guard for this Bulldog team, and she's shooting exceptionally well from everywhere on the floor. Peru's 3 doesn't fall, and the rebound fell off to Riley Blair, who just checked in. Blair will give you 25-plus minutes a game if you're Ferris State. Couple of players off the bench play at least 20 minutes. That's big for the depth of Ferris State. They're going to need it today. 3-point lead for the Eagles. Huggins again on the drive. And a foul is going to be called on Heidemann inside, and Huggins hits the deck, and she'll be going to the free throw line.
Nice motion by Ferris State on the perimeter to try to find the open player coming off of a screen. 2 different situations. They might have had a 3 ball in the left corner, but decided to wait for Huggins to come off that high post screen, and that time upon the catch, she just lowers the shoulder, drives left-handed to the basket, and able to force the issue once again.
First free throw from Huggins. The sophomore from Grand Rapids finds the bottom of the basket. Heidemann and Stimpert come out. Dakin and Smith back in for Ashland. And Derek, the one impressive thing about Huggins is she's averaging 12 points a game this year. Last year averaged 6 points a game, but in the GLIAC opener against Wayne State, she was held scoreless, but contributed in other ways.
And that's good news. She has no points against Wayne State. You talked about other ways, 10 assists. That's what you want to see from the floor general. And right now, Ferris State able to force a turnover there. Huggins has got to control this possession.
Second steal for the Bulldogs, and on the other end, the short corner jumper from Sturm doesn't fall. And the rebound falls to Johnson. She tries to throw it off the foot of Sturm. And a kick ball is called on Ferris State, so Ashland will get the basketball back.
Johnson very dangerous when she gets rebounds and has an open floor to look for outlet passes down the lane. And that time, upon the catch, they went ahead and double-teamed her, made her try to throw it off another Bulldog. And it kind of paid off. You limit the fast break opportunities for the Eagles.
Ferris State playing Ashland extremely tough, nearly coming away with another steal. And a lot of emotion from this Ferris State sideline, as well as the 5 players on the floor. You gotta love to see that.
You got nothing to lose in this situation. You come into a hostile territory, a place where the Eagles have won 40-plus games on their home floor. They're #1 in the country. They're undefeated. You're 4-2. You've got nothing to lose. Prove something to the world in this situation.
Third steal for the Bulldogs. Now Sturm has it poked away. Johnson dives on the floor. It gets tied up with Abby Knackford. Possession arrow favors Ashland. Now the Eagles will take over.
That may be a situation where we talked about a lot of emotion. That time they force a turnover, moving back so quickly back the other way. It's kind of a collision with the Eagles players heading back on defense. When you get the turnover, maybe hold up a second, let the offense settle, get it to the hands of your ball handler. This time it's Huggins on the floor, and then reset the offense from there.
Only 2 seniors on this Ferris State team as they come away with another steal. Huggins pushing the pace, floater in the lane, too strong. And Sarah Hart comes away and finds Smith on the outlet. Smith to Johnson. Up top for Hart. No look pass inside for Peru, who finishes.
A phenomenal feed there by Hart. She catches it at the top of the key and fires one down low to Peru, who went unguarded.
And how glad is Ashland to have Sarah Hart back in the rotation, Derek?
She's a spark off the bench, just like Heidemann is the first couple games of the year. Hart now provides that combo guard forward look the Eagles desperately need coming off of the bench.
Nakfor's three is off the mark, and Ashland gets the long rebound and has numbers. Nice pass inside for Dakin, who can't convert, but will head to the free throw line.
I like the foul there by Ferris State. That time you're trailing from behind in a 3-on-2 fast break situation. In this situation, you like to see her take away the ball, maybe not go for the body. She tried to avoid Dakin going down low, and that time Renee Sturm whistled for the foul, but it does force Dakin to the free throw line. It's better than giving up an easy layup.
And Derek, you can see a couple of these Ashland players, the hands on their hips, as Ferris State's really pushing the pace, which is something Ashland did a lot of last year, but this year a little bit less of that. Not pressing, not trapping to the half court, playing a more simple brand of basketball. It's worked out for them extremely well so far. They are second in the country in scoring, but today Ferris State is challenging them in that aspect a little bit.
I think you and me thought this game would kind of be like this. Maybe those looking on paper will see Ashland and look at 99 points a game. Man, that team can really score. But defensively, this Ferris State Bulldog team can get the job done. Right now, 17-12. This is a big possession nearing that minute mark left in the first.
One of the better first quarters we've seen an opposing team play against Ashland today, as Anderson is going to draw the foul on Stimpert. Carrie Pickens can't believe it, has a smile on her face. And the fans rain down a chorus of boos here in Cage Gymnasium.
Well, we should get a better look at it maybe on the replay to see where Anderson was going. If the contact makes her fall, then it's a foul. But I'm not sure if it wasn't Anderson's own feet that made her fall.
Yeah, I think that could settle as a no call, Derek. How about you?
I like that too. I think the no call let it play on in that situation. Probably would have been a turnover for Ashland, so it's got to be a good break for Ferris State here.
Ferris State a second chance, and the shot is off the mark from Bush, but they'll get another chance and throw it away. Stimpert in a foot race with Anderson and gets to it first. Great hustle by Renee Stimpert, and now Ashland will slow it down. A slow start offensively for the Eagles. Loomis inside, too strong. Johnson second chance, that one's good.
I love the matchup, Adrian Anderson with Renee Stimpert. I love that matchup because Anderson's got the speed to keep up with Stimpert. Stimpert really has to show off her ball handling skills and her passing ability today, and she found Loomis with a terrific feed and ended up being a putback there by Jody Johnson.
Virtually no difference between the game clock and the shot clock. And now it's going to be off as Riley Blair travels with it. And Ashland is going to get it back. 14.1 remaining here in the first quarter. 19-12, it's a 7-point lead for Ashland. A chance to grow that at the end of the first quarter. Ferris State could really use a stop here. Johnson drives and lays it in. And time runs out in the first quarter. The Bulldogs, a 5-0 start. Ashland outscores them 21-7 the rest of the way and have a 21-12 lead at the end of one. Stay tuned, second quarter is right after the break here on Sports Time Ohio.
Guided by our tradition of excellence for over 100 years, Ashland University now offers undergraduate and graduate degrees fully online, with bachelor degrees ranging from communication to criminal justice, and graduate degrees in business, education, and many more. These are quality programs that you can complete fully online with the flexibility and affordability you desire. Apply today at ashland.edu.
21-12, a 9-point lead for the number one team in the country at the end of the first quarter. And here's a look at head coach Carrie Pickens. The associate head coach for the past couple of seasons takes over. In her first year, Derek has led this team to a 6-0 start and has a chance to improve that to 7-0 and get the program's 800th all-time win.
had a legendary playing career here, once a transfer from Dayton, now in her first year as head coach. Was associate head coach a year ago for the team that received their rings, being the Division II runners-up for the national championship. Now starting what should be a legendary coaching career and a chance to pick up win number 800.
She's already put her stamp on this program as an early turnover by Adriana Anderson to begin the second quarter, the first possession for Ferris State. And the biggest stamp that I've seen so far that Coach Pickens has put on this team is rebounding the basketball. Ashland is doing a terrific job. They're 11th in rebounding margin, out-rebounding opponents by 13 rebounds a game. Last year in that same category, they were not that good. 39th in the country as Brooke Smith knocks down a three, but that rebounding edge was won by Ferris State in that first quarter, something Coach Pickens is going to look to turn around here in the second.
And you look at what Coach Pickens did in her playing career, one of the best rebounders in program history, and arguably one of the better rebounders in the history of Division II women's basketball. So you have to imagine that's obviously going to be a stamp of her time here at Ashland, and it's paid off this year, but today Ferris State had the edge. We'll see if they can correct it here in the second quarter.
Johnson nearly came away with a steal, and now Sarah Loomis does off the inbounds. And you talked to Coach Pickens before the season started, and she said, if there's one thing this team's going to do, as Johnson gets to the lane with contact and finishes, and Ashland starting to pull away, it's a 14-point game. But Coach Pickens says if there's one thing this team's going to do, it is rebound the basketball, and so far this season, they've done just that. Blocking foul on Brooke Smith down inside. Second team foul, rather first of the quarter here for the Eagles in the second quarter. Brooke Smith's first as well.
You don't want to get to a point where you're hoping something on it as an opposing defense, but right now being down 14 or being down 12, you have to imagine that Ferris State on defense is hoping Ashland just misses shots because they're not putting together points on the other end. They have to hope for more missed shots, but Ashland's connecting here early in the second.
Ashland started 0 of 4. They're 10 for their last 12, Derek. They've corrected the offense and now is getting turnovers. Dakin pulls up from 10 feet out. That one rims in and out. And the rebound falls off to the Bulldogs. Alexis Bush spinning, gets it back. Alexis Bush, one of two seniors on this ball club, 10.5 points a game in her fourth season. Huggins tries from three, that one's short. Huggins, a much improved shooter from a year ago, shooting 42% from behind the arc, misses that one. Johnson, transition three, the bottom! Jody Johnson and Ashland heating up 29-12, and a timeout by Kendra Faustin. A big run to start the second quarter by the Eagles. They've scored the first 5 and lead it 29-12 with 7:58 to go in the half. Stay tuned, more second quarter action is next on Sports Time Ohio.
The Ashland one-year international MBA program is different than others because it includes 2 international study tours and an all-inclusive structure.
Visiting different countries and experiencing different cultures, that type of experience is invaluable.